Okay. Okay, everybody. We may have a few more people coming on in, and they're obviously welcome, but we're so happy to have you here today. We've been really looking forward to this class. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Doyles. I think we have almost everyone here. So thank you so much for signing up for this amazing class. We're really lucky to have Cecilia here as your teacher for this virtual class on homemade pasta and amazing salads. Cecilia will tell you a little bit more about her test baking and her work with Janie's Mill, but we are really lucky to have time with you today to be making ingredients. We do a cooking class once a month and usually give you all the ingredients that you need, and we feature different cultural cuisines or amazing local ingredients. So for this class, if you don't mind, if you have any questions or comments, or you want to add to the discussion, feel free. I invite you to just type it into the comments, and I'll be monitoring the conversations and feeding everything to Cecilia. I also will have my phone to get some close-up shots. So if you're looking for more details, I will also, my phone will also be getting little close-ups of the different parts of the recipe. And you guys all have the recipes, so if you fall behind, keep us posted, but feel free to refer to the recipe card. If you have any questions, absolutely check in with us. And we're really excited to make dinner together. So let me pass it over to Cecilia.
Hi everybody. I see you all there on top of the screen. So don't forget to write your questions anytime you want to. They'll all be picked up by Sarah. I can't quite see them here. Now, you may hear that I have an accent. That's because I'm from New Zealand. And I've traveled the whole world, a lot of the world, right through Europe and Australasia and into the islands and so forth. A lot of it working with film companies and a lot of it working with food. So now I'm actually working for Janie's Mill. You've got their flour for today, and we're going to be also using our rye, which I was here when this was harvested. I actually was in the combine harvester when we did that. So this is the flour that we're going to use from Janie's Mill. This is locally grown grain, milled locally in Ashton, Illinois. So it's not far at all. It's an hour from here, actually. So this is a blend of turkey red, which is an heirloom, and our hard red spring wheat, which actually grew just outside my office window. So it's pretty local. Okay, now we're going to talk a bit more later, but first let's get these berries. We call them berries, but they're really rye grains. We're going to get these onto boil because sometimes they take a little bit longer than we'd hope. So in your pot, you're going to have to get used to my New Zealand way of describing things, but we call this a pot. So in your pot, put 4 cups of water. Okay, I've already put my water in, so I'm going to go slowly while you all do that, because that's going to take a couple of minutes, and we're going to get that and turn it on to high and get that boiling madly. And I'm going to get Sarah to turn this on because I've got no idea how to run this kitchen. She's going to do that.
I got you.
I'm going to put in a good pinch of salt. There's two.
Do you want it to come to boil?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to a good pinch of salt. There's 2 reasons why we put salt into water. One is obviously because salt's really tasty and it brings out the sweetness in your food, but also it raises the temperature of the boiling water so that it gets it. So we're going to put this straight in here. That's a cup. So when you're boiling any berries or your grits or anything like that, just think 1 to 4. So you're going to have 1 cup of your food and then 4 cups of water. So that can start boiling merrily. When that starts boiling, we're going to turn that down to a simmer. Okay, so we've got 2 things happening today. We're going to make pasta, which we're going to make with our Janie's Mill Italian style pizza flour, which is fantastic for pasta. And we're going to make a roast vegetable salad, which is autumnal. It's nice for the fall. It's really going to be quite tasty. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to roast these lemons. And I know that sounds quite bonkers, but it actually caramelizes the sugars. Yes, there is sugar in lemon. And makes and brings out a beautiful taste that we're going to use when we do our dressing. Okay, has anybody got anything so far? Any questions so far? It seems strange to teach a class without people talking back to me, but we'll get used to it. All right, so first of all, have you all got your water on to boil and all got your berries in there? You can nod. All right. Okay, let's start with our onion. We're going to chop the skin off the onion. So don't chop all the way through because you can actually drag it off. This onion is going to go into our salad, so we don't have to cut it too finely. You just shout out if I'm going too fast, okay? Or in some way.
The onion for the salad and for the sauce. Or
To go. Yeah, it's going to go into the sauce mainly and into the salad. So cut 1/2 of your onion quite small. See how I've gone that way? And then you're going to come across and go this way. Doesn't have to be too small because it's going to be roasted.
so small dice and then thicker dice for.
You're lucky you've got Sarah here because she can help with the American version. Okay. Yeah, so loosely chop it up for one lot and then the other. And we're going to put it into 2 separate dishes.
So 2 sheet trays.
You can quietly get your sheet trays out now. You're going to use 2. So bring them out onto your counter. We're going to get the salad vegetables ready, and we're going to make the sauce in the other can, in the other sheet. Well, this is boiling, so we need to turn that down for a cat. Watch your water. If your water is boiling really hard now, you can turn it down halfway so it goes to a rolling simmer. All right? Okay. All right. Just tilt your lid slightly. Can you see it? Just tilt it slightly so it's got some air. Because we want that to absorb. Okay, you've got 2 roasting dishes or 2, what do you call them? Baking trays. Yeah, okay. And a little bit of oil on them. Okay, this one is for the roast vegetables, and this one is for the sauce. So let's do the roast vegetables first. Okay, onions are done. Now let's have a go at the garlic, which is the fun part. So get your cloves, put the flat, do not cut yourself, right? Put the flat, sharp but facing away from your hand. Give it a bash. And that way we can get the
You're just doing a hole into the sheet tray.
bash it. And that way you can get that the skin off it really easily. And we just put them in whole because I'm gonna divide them up actually. 2 into here with a few vegetables. And I think you've got one more. Do you have one more?
Yeah, I think most of you guys have 3 garlic cloves. So 2 of them whole in with the larger diced onion.
And
then
the other ones,
the other one, I'm
into
gonna
here.
cut it up a little bit
Yeah.
more.
we're just gonna do this roughly because it's all gonna be smashed up later. Okay, so that's our garlic done.
So Samantha had a question. So do we split the onion half and half onto 1 sheet tray, and how much garlic? So we did half an onion.
Half an onion goes onto 1 sheet tray and the other half goes onto the other sheet. This second sheet, we're going to put to the side now. That's with everything that's cut a little smaller. And we're going to look at our sheet that has everything really chunky. And we're going to put these vegetables in with that one. So we've got our sweet potatoes.
And the beets. Cecilia put a little olive oil
And the
sprinkle on the trays.
Okay, so you can just go ahead and peel these sweet potatoes. If there's a little dirt on them, you might want to wash them first, but these seem pretty well washed. Wash them all before.
Beth had a question about the garlic. So we're putting 2 cloves of whole, like 2 whole cloves of garlic that have been peeled on the sheet tray with the largely chopped onion, half. And then the other clove diced up a little bit smaller with the smaller diced onion, half on the other tray.
Does that make sense?
I'll give you a close up. Here's the smaller diced onion, and here is the larger diced onion, the 2
Yeah,
cloves.
so this one is going to be for your sauce, and this one's going to be for the roasted vegetables. We're just going to do this bit really, and then we're going to get this in the oven, and then we're going to make our pasta. How are you doing? You're doing all right?
I see a bunch of kitchens. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay.
Thumbs up from Doyle.
Okay.
How many of you have made pasta before? Rob and Elise says, we're having trouble keeping up. That's okay.
You're good. We've got tons of time. Take your time.
So we're just chopping up the onions and the garlic so that we can put them into the oven. And then Cecilia is peeling the sweet potatoes and soon the beets.
And I'll peel the beets now.
So we're gonna peel the sweet potatoes and then peel the beets. And then you're probably just gonna chop them up in chunks.
I'm just going slow so you can all catch up.
I've made pasta before. I have one of those little things that you turn the handle and you can adjust the thickness of it.
Yeah,
It's a lot. So this is going to be exciting to make it without that machine.
yeah. Joan said that she has a little machine, I think similar to what you have, where
Oh,
you can
right.
adjust the size.
Yeah.
But she's excited
Yeah.
to make it.
I didn't bring mine because most people are doing it by hand, I think. So just sing out with that because those are great. And they're not actually expensive either.
I've got a pasta making machine attached to your kitchen.
which is pretty cool. But I don't use it all the time, so it's good to learn the traditional way.
Okay, so we're just cutting the ends of both of these vegetables. And then when you've all caught up, we'll dice them.
So after you peel the sweet potatoes, peel the beets, and then chop the ends off.
Okay, let us know when you're ready. Okay. So we're going to chop these into 1/2-inch sized cubes, all right? Nothing's going to be perfect, so let's just not worry about that terribly much. But we want them mostly uniform in size. These are going to cook relatively fast. We're going to put these into our first. They're already falling apart. These are not, see how your sweet potatoes are all different shapes and sizes, so don't worry about that terribly much. Just see if you can't cut them off around about the same size each.
And the sweet potatoes and the beets and the eggs and all the flour, the salad mix, that's all coming local.
We're doing all right. Can't see them.
How's everyone doing so far?
Oh, did you all get your ovens on? I forgot to tell you to turn your oven on. Turn your oven on to 400. I'm going to pause for a second and let you go do that. Turn your ovens on so that they heat up.
And the beets and the sweet potatoes are going to go on with the bigger chunks of
Onion. So those are gonna eventually all get roasted and they're gonna go on your salad.
So we put a little oil in. Did you all get your ovens turned on? Put a little bit of this first little oil in. And literally toss your sweet potatoes in that oil. And then put them down to this end here. And then cut up your beets. In New Zealand, we call these beetroot. So cut your beetroot up. Same size. You don't have to worry terribly much about getting these totally cooked because beetroot is nice raw. So we want these to be have a little bit of a bite to them. So we go slightly bigger. Questions?
Bob and Elise had a question of, we have fine chopped onion and coarse chopped onion. Do they go on 2 different baking trays?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? It doesn't matter if you get them mixed up. Totally doesn't matter. But one is for the sauce and one is for your vegetables for the salad. Okay, I'm going to show you this in a second. Do you want to do a close-up of the this?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. All right.
Olive oil.
We're keeping the beets separate from the sweet potatoes because until they start to caramelize on the outside, they're going to bleed a little. So we have to be a wee bit careful about that. There's going to have a little salt. So a little bit of salt on here.
Like a
And just
couple
a
pinches.
sprinkle, yeah. A sprinkle of pepper. And then that's going into the oven. Put it as high up in the oven as you can get it. Okay. Big sink. I've got a sink this big in my kitchen, so I'm used to just dumping everything straight in.
Here, if you want, you can put it on that card over there.
I don't know, I just have to wash it off. Okay, so we're gonna clean off our chopping board.
How many people are still working on
Their veggies. So you put a little pinch of salt and pepper on the veggies, the roots, and you keep the sweet potatoes and onions together with a little oil, salt and pepper, and then Cecilia separated the beets on the other half of the tray. So they don't exchange color.
Yes, they don't bleed into each other. Okay, so now we're gonna start the sauce. This is really fast, all right? All you've got to do is chop this up roughly. Chop them up roughly and put them into this baking sheet. This is a really old Italian sauce. When we used to make it, I used to live on the Amalfi Coast in Italy, and my housekeeper would make this for me, and she just roasted up the potatoes and pushed them through a sieve, and that was it. You were done. So we're going to do that one, and you've just got. She actually used to do it also without roasting them, but we're going to roast them today. Yeah, it's just like watery. It's beautiful. So just chop your tomatoes into quarters, throw them in there. This is really nice when you've got some really, end of season tomatoes, lots of color and taste. So just put them in there and just get some, get a little bit of oil on them. Chop your lemons in half and just put them onto the baking sheet face down. Okay. So chop your lemon in half onto the baking sheet face down.
I also had a question about the onion. But if you put one half of the onion on the baking tray, what happens to the other half? So I think,
On the other baking sheet.
yeah,
So 2 baking trays, one for the veggies
And one for your tomato.
and one for the tomatoes and the lemon.
Okay, and this is going into the oven now. Have you got 2 baking trays with vegetables on them? Yeah. Yep. I see thumbs up. Yep. Okay, and in the oven.
And the lemon is gonna go for you're roasting the
About
lemon.
everything. The lemon goes into about everything.
It's gonna be so good.
It's the Amalfi Coast. They put lemon and everything because they grow the lemons there. Now I'm going to wait till I know that everyone's caught up before we start the pasta. So let Sarah know when you're ready.
Laura had a question. Are we roasting the lemon? Yeah, we're gonna roast the lemon. We didn't put that in the recipe card, but
You can just cut it in half and then place the onion halves face down with the tomatoes. Katie Chamberlain says oven not preheated yet. That's okay.
That's okay, just put them in anyway.
Yeah, they'll get up to
Yeah.
temp.
We've got lots of time, but we just want to get that out of the way so we can start making the pasta.
And Joan was curious if we put the herbs in the tomato tray.
We will. We're going to put the herbs in halfway through the baking. If you put them in too early, they do get a bit charred. So we'll put them in halfway through so they just kind of get warmed up and taste.
And Katie said, what's the temp for the tomatoes? So you can just preheat your oven to 400 and keep it at 400. You can put the sweet potatoes and beets in the oven. And then once you chop up the tomatoes into quarters and chop your lemon up in half, just stick the tomatoes and lemons on the sheet tray with that smaller diced half of onion and a little olive oil, and just stick both trays in the oven. Okay. I think we're good.
Everyone's got their vegetables in. They're going to take a little while to cook, so we're going to take our eye off the vegetables for a minute. Now we're going to start making our pasta. There's two ways that you can make the pasta. I have a pasta bowl, which is a shallow bowl. It's a shallow pasta bowl size. If you have something like that in your kitchen, that's really great. If you don't, you do exactly what I do, but you're going to do it on your counter, okay? Don't be scared, it'll work. You can put it in a big bowl. If you've got a big bowl, all you need to do is have something that's got reasonable size in it, so you can pop your flour in there and then make a well and add your eggs. So if we're all ready to go, tell Sarah if you want me to pause. Are you ready?
Let me know if you guys need us to hold off before we start on the pasta. You guys got a pre-portioned pasta. You guys got pre-portioned flour for the pasta. I think you all got 400 grams of flour. And so you're gonna wanna, Dee says, please wait on the pasta. I'm having trouble keeping up. Maybe some people are still working on the tomatoes.
Remember,
Yeah.
you don't have to chop them up too finely. Just cut them into quarters and throw them in the roasting dish and into the oven.
A couple of people said they might need a minute or so.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
We've got them in there.
Mhm. I should, after the class, I'll have to look through and share your recipes that you have on the site.
Yeah, we do have a pasta recipe on there that I've written. It's actually in the bread blog. That's where I put all my recipes. But you won't get behind. Making the pasta is really, really simple. Just takes a little time. What is the time? Oh yeah, we're doing well. Doing well. Okay, let us know when you've got that in the oven.
Oh yeah, we just need to do a little timer.
Let us know when you're ready.
Samantha says, we're all set. You guys doing okay? You guys are cooking up a storm. Okay. Cecilia's just checking on the veg.
All right, So you're ready to start making pasta. This is a simple egg pasta. So the quantities are kind of similar in that you have 1 cup of flour to 1 egg and 1 teaspoon of water. So we have enough in here to make a 3-egg pasta. And we have a little more for our bench flour. Probably have about a cup's worth of bench flour. So just grab something and take out a cup's worth.
So take a
I'll
cup
give you
out
a
of your
second. You're going to
flour.
take a cup's worth of flour out and set it aside. And we're going to call that bench flour.
What is bench flour?
Bench flour is the flour that we put down here when we start to work on our pasta. So bench flour is extra flour. All right, and so all your flour is it's all ready to go, so we can just toss it all in there. Now, if you're just doing it on your counter, just pour the flour onto your counter, just like I'm doing here in the bowl. Make it into a little,
Mounding it up or?
you can do a little close up there, Sarah. So you're going to mound it up like this on your counter. We don't have very much counter here, so we're going to use the bowl. And then put your hand in here and just make a little well. Okay?
How big of a well?
Straight to the bottom. Make sure your sides are nice and fine. Don't want any escapes.
So mound your flour up and
Do
then
you see it?
make a well. I'm doing a little close up on my phone if you guys can see it.
And you see, can you see, can everyone see that? Yeah, I think we're good. All right. Now, we're going to put your eggs into the well, which of flour. Now we're going to break the egg into a little bowl first, just in case the egg gets shell in it or it's not a good egg. And I'm sure they're all really good eggs because they're nice father's eggs. But I have chickens and I have eggs, so I'm always very careful to make sure that my eggs are good. So that's a nice one. Now we're going to just dump that straight in there, right? Put it into the well. This is my nonna. This is how we do it. All right, so break it any way you like.
So one egg at a time, mix a little bowl and pour it into the well.
You don't want to get shell now.
I don't want the crunchy.
All right, and then there, I'm going slow, so take your time. I think we're going to overflow, bring your flour up a bit.
Okay.
And one more. How are you doing? I wish I could see what you were doing. Are you doing all right? Yeah. Okay. Here's the last one. Pop it straight in here. So that's what you're going to get. Then just scoop the flour in on top of your egg. It's going to be a bit of a chase.
Using your fingers to kind of bring the yolk up with the egg white, kind of mix it all together.
Now, the old people always use their hands to make their pasta.
Not a fork.
No. I quite like this as just a bowl scraper to get it around.
So just fold and knead your.
Yeah, we're just at that really messy stage. Okay. I'm going to get a little bit of water now. Sometimes we don't need water, but this time I think we are gonna need water. So put in 3 teaspoons of water. 3 teaspoons of water, got it?
3 teaspoons of water in with your muddled egg.
And your big muddly mess. How they doing? How you doing? Is it looking like a big mess like this? That's good. It will, and it will stick to your fingers. And it'll be difficult to manage, but that's okay. Just press that flour into the egg. Keep going.
They've got probably crumbly dough hands now.
Yeah, yeah. And if it gets onto your hands, you can just go like this. Get it back up again. Should have sent you all the way to wash your hands first. Okay, see how it's starting to come together? You may need a little bit more water. Okay, see how it's coming together like this now? Is yours coming together? Do we have any questions?
Any questions so far? I see a few of you hands in it.
That's great. That's great. It's a filthy process. That's good. That means you're doing it right.
How do you know how much water to put in?
I just put 1 teaspoon per egg.
Per egg?
Sometimes if you've got a really big egg, you won't need water at all. But pasta is a little bit like bread making in that you're going to feel it. See, we didn't need any more flour either. We're going to use this a bit later when we start rolling it out. Okay, so we keep kneading and pushing it together until all the flour disappears. And remember, this flour is a blend of hard red spring wheat, which we actually plant in the spring and then harvest later in the summer, and the turkey red, which is an heirloom and is planted in the autumn now and is harvested later in the summer the next season.
He says, what do I do when my rye berries are done? Should we drain them?
No, they won't be done yet. Are yours done? Wait. Just grab one out if you think it might be getting close to done. Let it cool down here on the counter for a second, and we'll wipe them.
But you'll keep them in even when they are done, you'll keep them in the water for a while.
Yeah, I'll let them soak up as much as they can. If you're still a bit sticky, put in a little bit of flour now. See what's going on there? Okay, this is feeling about done. No. Cook them for about another good 30 minutes, I would say. Those berries need to keep cooking. When they're done, you're going to about run out of water. They will have soaked it all up.
Unless they're using like a fancy Instapot or something.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, that exactly. That's what we do it much faster. All right. So there's our pasta. How's your pasta doing? Can I see thumbs ups? Is it starting to look like this? Yay, awesome. Okay, here's the thing. We now have to let this rest. It's pretty important to let your pasta rest for at least 20 minutes because otherwise your gluten, two things. The gluten gets too tight, which means it's going to be hard to roll out. Or secondly, flour takes a long time to absorb moisture, especially stone ground flour. This is stone ground. So it's got all the bran, all the wheat, all the wheat jam, all that good stuff is still in the flour, which means that it takes a little while to absorb the moisture. So we're going to let this rest. The best way to do that is to put it under a slightly damp cloth or saran wrap or something.
But you don't put it in the fridge?
We won't use it.
Maybe like a paper towel? Like a wet paper towel?
It's like tinfoil.
Tinfoil. Yeah.
Right, but what I like is actually just an old cloth. This isn't anything. Just use an old cloth. It's quite cool in here today, so we're going to rest this on the counter. If you're going to make your pasta tomorrow, or you're going to make it later in the day, you can put this into the fridge, and it can sit in the fridge for quite some time. But for what we're doing today, we're just going to, let me sweep it with. So wet a cloth, bring it out.
How do they know
Look at
their
my
pasta?
cloth.
How do they know their pasta will be done? When all of the flour
When
comes together?
when all the flour is incorporated. But don't, I mean, it's not going to look perfect yet. This is just stage one. So it actually needs time to absorb that water. So it's going to take its little break. So put it into some saran wrap or some, actually I've got a bag there. Do you want to grab that bag? Or put it into a Ziploc bag or something. It's maybe better. It's a bit dry. See the other side? One side's looking quite nice. This side's still coming together. Pop it in there and just let it sit and think about things for a while. So we're going to give that 20 minutes. And I'm going to put it here to do that. If your house is quite warm, you can store it in the fridge while it's resting. But if you do put it into the refrigerator to rest, you've got to bring it out before we start to roll it out. It needs to warm up for a minute. So you can pop it in there, but it's only going to be about 10 minutes. Then you're going to have to bring it back out to warm it up. So while you're finishing, I'm going to pop this. I'm just going to go to the oven and check the vegetables.
How's everybody doing? Maybe check your veggies, see how they're doing. Check your wheat berries, and cover your pasta dough a bit for about 20 minutes. How do they know when the tomatoes are done or when the sweet potato and beets are done?
Yeah, the sweet potato and beets, you can do them until they're, just regular roast vegetables done. So you want to pop a fork in them, and if they're soft on the inside, they can come out. Our tomatoes won't take long, so they're about ready now. So have a look at that. So when you've got your pasta put away, and you've checked your berries, which we know need a bit more time, because they're going to take 30 to 40 minutes. Check your vegetables first and give them a toss around, and then with your vegetables, mine are done. My vegetables are done. I'll show you. Okay, they're all done. So I'm going to add my green herbs now so they can wilt on top.
Can turn that.
Just
Oh,
run your
no.
hands down here. Run your thyme, just throw your thyme on top.
So how many sprays of time? Just
How many?
whatever we
Yeah.
we're given.
I would say 2 or 3.
So whenever your veggies are done, just start to scrape some of the leaves from your thyme onto the veggies.
So when you have a sprig of thyme, all its little leaves are growing upwards. So if you run your hands downwards, you'll pull them right off. I'm doing this real slow because I know that you're all just getting yourselves situated there.
And the parsley are local. The thyme comes from a small family farm near Arcola. A perennial herb farm. Parsley comes from Blue Moon, which is an organic farm in Urbana.
Okay, how are you doing? You ready to make the tomato sauce?
Samantha, the question, is this one used on the tomatoes too?
No. We're going to use the parsley on the tomatoes. However, if you want thyme on your tomatoes, there's no reason why you can't. So go for it. Right. Now, I'm going to make a little space here and see if you can't find yourself a bowl about this size. I'm going to wash this one.
How's everyone else doing?
I'm going to put my lemons here.
Oh, that looks so good.
So take your lemons off of your tomato tray.
Don't want to go too fast. So you're going to get this bowl, all right? And then I want you to get a sip. So go and grab one of those out of your cupboard. If you don't have a sieve, you can use a colander. But the sieve will give you a finer sauce. So we're just going to put the sieve into the bowl.
Or if they have an immersion blender, you have them do that too.
I'm
or-
not for this one. Because basically what we're doing is we're taking the skins off and crushing that all together. Okay, I'm going slow because I know you're all going to go grab things out of your cupboard. So put the whole thing in there.
So the tomatoes and onions go into a sieve and a bowl.
I know, I'm a very messy cook. I am. There's no way I could ever have a cooking show because I'm just too messy.
Any questions so far?
Okay. All right, so put all your tomatoes and onions and garlic into that sieve.
Just use a little spatula.
Yeah, you can do anything at this point. I'm gonna get all this crunchy stuff as well, so it will help with our taste. Okay. All right, so we've got this sitting here. Now we're going to separate the solids from the liquids. And I use, what's it called? A ladle. A ladle. You can use a spoon, you can use your hands, you can use anything at this point, but we're just going to push it through. So just push that right through the sieve. Take your time. You're going to get this lovely little bit of really, really strong tomato. If we had enough tomatoes, we would push it through like this and then put it back into the tray and cook it for a bit longer and make tomate conserva, which would thicken it right down. But we're not going to thicken it for this one because that takes 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, wow. Is that
Yeah.
tomato paste, or-
Yeah, and it is my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, wow.
But you can see what we're getting there. Are you all getting this? Keep going. And so simple. And I mean, when you've got those beautiful sun-ripened tomatoes, you get the most amazing taste. So this you can do all summer. And it's really, really simple. And what you can do also, if you want to, next time you can put other vegetables in here, like you can put aubergine,
Oh, eggplant.
eggplant in here, sweet peppers, which we call capsicums, all of those ones, and then you just crush them. So you're going to take all the solids out. All of that's left over and goes to the chickens. I'm going to take a chicken bowl home to my chickens. Actually, I got 2 little pet pigs as well.
Oh, my God. Oh.
There you go, they're rescue pigs.
How many chickens do you have?
I have no idea.
That's a lot.
A lot. This year, they
Oh.
all decided to hatch their eggs. It's very humid. So this being such a humid summer, they hatched out probably out. This is just loose around the barn and in the fields and up in the loft, and they hatched almost 30 chickens.
You have a rooster.
I have little roosters now.
Oh, my God.
And get this, the ducks started hatching the chickens' eggs as well.
They were on
They
top
were
of chicken
sitting,
eggs.
they were sitting on the eggs, and that was just awful because the ducks would try and take the chicks into the pond. That didn't work. So we had to rescue all the duck chicks who were not ducklings and put them under lights. Yeah, so it's a bit crazy. Still a bit crazy.
Do you have like a homestead or?
Yeah, we've got a farm. We've got about 400 acres worth of organic wheat
Oh.
and 2 big barns and, cows. The pigs, the chickens, ducks, peacocks, guinea fowl, dogs, cats. All pretty nuts. How's the tomatoes all sitting?
How's the tomato sauce?
A little knife and skim around the bottom here. Get that last bit off. And because we did lots of pressing and shuffling about, got all that garlic in there now, all the tomato juice from the tomatoes in there, so that's pretty tasty. We'll have a little taste, and I'm from New Zealand, so our favorite spice is salt and pepper. That's it. So I'm just going to put a little bit of pepper and salt in there, and that is done. All right, see that? Now this one, when we serve this, we're going to put it on top of the pasta, and then we're going to cut up the parsley and put it in with that. The only other thing we need to do now is add a little bit of oil. There's probably half a teaspoon of oil left in here. You can add that. And I'm gonna have a little taste.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
Looks
It's
amazing.
just beautiful. So a little bit of salt.
Little olive oil, a little salt and pepper. And taste it.
And ready? A squeeze. Just one squeeze.
Squeeze of the roasted lemon. Oh, yeah.
And that's done. All right. I know. See how simple that was? And the most important thing when you're making something like this with only a couple of ingredients is to make sure you have really good ingredients. And you're lucky to have Sarah and Common Ground because they've got good ingredients. When I drop off the flour, I always switch. Okay. That's that one. I'm going to have a look at my berries. Everybody, if you've got anything in the oven, go check it now. Your roasted vegetables are probably about done, also. But we did turn those ovens on a little late.
I see Joan's working on her sauce. And you can't get all the onions and all the tomatoes.
No, you don't want to put anything solid in there. You're just going to get that nice sauce.
This is with the super thin, nice sauce.
Those are about 15 minutes away, I think. Okay.
The berries.
Yeah, they've got about 15 minutes to go. Okay. Now, when you're all ready, we're going to get this out. Start our pasta. A little bit of flour on the bench.
Everybody's still learning on the sauce.
How's it looking? Good?
Joan's got her dough.
Nice. Oh. All right, when you're ready, you can make a space on your counter, put down a little bit of bench flour, and we'll bring out our pasta.
We'll need a little rolling pin.
Yeah, you're gonna need your rolling pin.
That's a nice one.
My daughter bought me this one from Australia.
Any questions?
Who's up to their pasta yet? Everybody? You've made your gorgeous sauce. Got everything ready for our salad, and we'll do our pasta. After we do our pasta, we're going to do the salad dressing. All right, so just a sprinkle of bench flour. Is that a split screen? I mean, are they seeing that? Is it a split screen?
They're seeing it up here.
Oh, okay, so it's,
We could always select this
it's
one
okay.
if you want.
That's okay. I think that now we can see.
They can see pretty well on that.
Yeah. Can everybody see clearly? Okay. I'm going to cut this in half. And put the other half without that side.
You're gonna save half of the pasta for later.
But yeah, I don't think, depending on how many people you're feeding, if you're feeding 4 people, you can use all of this. If you're just feeding 2, which is just Sarah and I tonight, so So then you can put this back into your into the fridge. I wish I could come back tomorrow and show you how to make ravioli with the rest, because that's my favorite thing. All right. We might need it, so we're just going to pause it. You don't want it to dry out. Okay, so we've got our pasta. Make it into a rectangle. And start rolling.
The little flour on the side.
Yeah. Now here's something important when you're making pasta. You're going to roll it out just a bit, and then you're going to fold it. And what this does is it crosses the gluten. So gluten goes like this, and you want to cross it. So then we're going to roll it again, all right? Do that twice.
It's like almost like croissant.
Now, who's the lady who's got your machine out?
Maybe it's John.
You got your machine out? Is it John?
I think she was saying she was gonna try it by hand too.
Okay. So if you do have a machine, and they're really cool little machines, you will start hand rolling. You always start it by hand and then put it in. Now see how at this point I'm going to be able to do this and add some of this bench flour back in, because it stops it sticking.
Both sides.
Yeah.
So it doesn't stick to the.
Yeah, and it gets stronger. All right, see how it's pushing back? Is yours elastic? That's the gluten. All right, so fold it again. And now you roll this chicken out. This is moving. If you've got, has everyone got their vegetables out of the oven? I don't want any fires.
Just gonna lock this.
So we're going to make linguini, which is like 1/8 of an inch in width and as thin as you can get it. So the best, the thinnest is if you can see your hand through the dough, then you know you're good, but that's hard to do by hand. So just enjoy yourself, just roll that out. And if it feels like it's sticking to the rolling pin at all, then just add a little bit more of our bench flour. Just embrace the messiness, because it's going to be messy. That's okay, Sarah's doing the cleaning up.
All good. So you're trying to roll it until you can see your hands
See
on the
my
outside.
hand.
Super thin.
You won't get it that thin, though, not so like that. But we will give it a crack. Is everyone going all right? Put your hand on it, put your hand down on it, and roll it out, which anchors it so that it can really roll down.
When you cut the pasta, do you just use a regular knife, like a paring knife? Or?
Yeah, you can use a knife. I use this.
Oh, it's like a little mini pizza cutter.
Yes. It's very sweet. All right, you can keep turning it. Just do not want it to get stuck on that bench.
Flip it.
So put your flour on and then flip it over. Anchor it again. Anchor it again. Push it all the way out. We take our time because feel how the gluten's fighting. If we go too fast, sometimes the gluten won't let go. This one isn't either. Then you have to rest it. It's just like when you're making your pizza. If you make your pizza, and this, by the way, is the same flour for pizza. Where'd it go? Here it is. This makes lovely pizza, focaccia, and a loaf of bread. But if you find your pizza is starting to fight you when you're making a pizza, then you rest it and the gluten will relax. Okay. Have you run out of room yet?
If they do run out of room, do you recommend just
Cut
cut
it
it in half?
So we're gonna do that right now. Look at that.
Oh my gosh, it's just burning back.
That's naughty. Now, we're gonna let this one, cut it in half. If you run out of room, cut it in half, but you don't want this one to get dry. So be aware of that.
If you're taking longer than you expect.
I'll just
put a little
cover it.
wet cloth or something.
Yeah, cover it with a damp cloth. Whatever. Oh, put on your water. Okay, get a big pot. We're allowed to let this just relax for a minute so that gluten relaxes a wee bit. And fill a pot with water and get that boiling for our pasta. We've got time. What is the time?
It's 5:07.
So half fill your pot with water and Sarah will turn that on. There's nothing like having the water not ready. So add some salt. You will have noticed that we don't put salt into the pasta dough, yeah? That's because we put the salt into the water and it will be absorbed like that. So put a couple of pinches of salt into your pasta water. I'll pause for a second while you get that done. This is going to be good. I'm testing my rye berries again. So just let them cool off. And see, they can have a little bite. Very close. How are you doing? See how just that 5-minute relax. Yes. Okay, can you see my hand through it?
Yeah.
So get it so it can go a little bit further, but I can see my hand through it. Okay. All right. That's good.
Make sure you keep putting flour on either side so it doesn't stick.
This one?
Things are going well with your smiley face.
Awesome, Alex. This is gonna be a good dinner.
Okay. So it's getting really thin now. Hold that up. So now we'll cut it.
When in doubt, just keep rolling.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll get really chunky.
No.
You don't roll it out too.
Yeah, that's right. You can't actually roll it too thin. I mean, you don't want it to be paper, but because we're going to hand cut it, it's going to have lots of little jaggedy edges, so it'll take that sauce really nicely. Okay.
Let me get you that one.
Oh, yes. So over here, where you can't see, I've just laid out a cloth, a tea towel. If you've got a rack of some kind, something to put your linguini on after you cut it. So I just have my my bread towels over here that I use when I'm making baguettes.
Oh,
Yeah, so they're really, really useful.
what type of, is it just cotton?
Yeah, it's just
Nice
cotton.
cotton.
Any tea towel will be fine. Or, you know, if you want to, sometimes if you've got, I don't know, a little, I have racks up above my sink where I hang them all off the racks.
Oh.
So it's, are you embracing the mess? I hope so. Okay,
So you're, once we start cutting the pasta, you're gonna put them all.
I'm gonna put them over there to
to
dry, and they won't totally dry. Just square this off.
So you just put
Now-
it over knife.
This is my favorite knife for this or this, but I don't know whether many of you will have a little cutting roller thing. So you can use a knife like this as long as it's nice and flat. This one also would work, but I like this because it's got a really flat edge. Now remember, we're cutting to 1/8 of an inch
Cut
and cut down, right? Some people roll it up and then cut them. I find that we won't do that tonight. I won't do that tonight because if they start to stick, it's a real pain to pull them apart.
Yeah.
And we just don't need that.
So maybe
So
cut it,
here she is.
maybe cut it an inch strip.
And then we'll just put them out.
Okay.
All right, so you just go ahead and cut in your own time.
If they have.
I
like
often
a-
use my rolling pin as just to rest my hand on there. And it helps me just get a nice straight edge. So you take your time and cut your pasta.
So if you had a pizza cutter or something like that,
It's fine with a knife though. Nana uses a knife, so I'm sure.
Decline says, my pasta dough is a giant hard rectangle. Help.
Can he show me? Oh, wait.
Can you show Cecilia with your,
Were you
with your
able to
video?
roll that out?
maybe he's having trouble rolling it.
Did you cut it in half?
Let's see.
I'm trying to get on camera. Let's see.
Thanks, Dee.
Which one am I looking at? Oh, okay.
All right. It just
There.
won't-
Hold it up
it
for
won't
me.
roll.
Oh, no, that's okay. Cut that in half. Cut that in half long ways. And then just roll it. You'll be good. You'll do it. Yeah, once you get rid of some of that, and if you want to put that under a damp cloth, you can. Just put it under a damp cloth or something that keeps it moist. And then you can just go ahead and roll that other one out. And you can use lots of energy. Use all your muscle.
Oh, I'm sweating.
Good, that's good. You're on it. Okay, you're fine. All right, I'm gonna.
Oh, look at the chef hats that Alex and his crew have.
He's got
Yeah, he's got wonderful. Yeah, I know some of you guys have ordered multiple kits. So I know that you guys are working together. And Joan, you can see her strings the pasta. There's a lot of chef hats though. There's 3 of them chef.
Everything is so good.
You should take photos for us.
Yeah, feel free to take photos of the process.
Put them on your Instagram if you've got one, and just hashtag Janie's Mill something. Janie Bakes or something.
I'm singing. Feel free to turn on your.
Turn on your camera if you're having trouble rolling things out and you need to have us take a look. Give you any recommendations.
Alex says, moving slowly, but with the 7 of us here, we will have our pasta rolled out soon. Yep, you got it. Yeah, you guys are probably making a lot of pasta for everybody, so you got it.
Yeah, so
And you probably don't have to make it all if you don't want.
you know what, and also you can do it off camera, I mean, when you're done. So just make sure that you keep your dough, you know how to do it now. Make sure you keep your dough a little damp. Don't let it sit out and get too dry. And you can cut the rest later. Oh my gosh,
Oh, you're fine.
I'm trying to, I'm cutting this bench. I don't think so, but I'm not pushing too hard.
If you're making a lot of pasta, one mistake I've made is just keep an eye on the pot of water and don't let your pasta all collect to the bottom when you're boiling it, because sometimes it has a chance of burning or sticking to the bottom. You got a trick for it.
Yeah. And you're doing too much at one time. Sweet. Yeah, it'll be fine. We'll get to the boiling.
Sharon says, pasta for 7.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of work.
That's great.
So how's Dee doing?
Dee, how you doing?
Sarah, do you want to just show how I'm laying those out?
Absolutely. So feel free to follow my little guy and take a look at how she's laying them out. She's kind of laying them out individually. And they actually really are starting to dry up.
Yeah, they can dry up there. You can drop them fresh straight into your water if you want. But they will hang in there a bit better if they're just a wee bit dried up.
One time I made a bunch of pasta with friends and we were gonna make some to freeze, which probably wasn't the best idea. I probably should have just dried them out all the way. And so I just balled it all up and it just became like one piece of big gnocchi in the freezer, which was not
A big
glad.
glad.
It made me sad, but I had to learn the hard way.
All right, what's our time?
Okay, we're at 5:17.
Okay, we're good. All right, so I'm rolling out the second half of my half now, which I actually inadvertently folded over without. Starting at the beginning.
Might be able to.
So while you guys are cutting, I'll just do my second one here.
Make sure you get your water boiling as high as it can.
And the thing with the water being so early is that it will boil out. So
Sometimes I
keep
add
adding
more.
The
I might add more.
I might, yeah. Yeah. that's good.
It's working hard.
Doing it by hand is hard. If you want to make a big lot, you might want to invest in a pasta machine. They're the ones that you use by hand. They will never break. You know, I've got one that belonged to my friend's aunt. She died at age 90 something about 10 years ago. So they're just fantastic. And this flour is so strong that if you do get a little bit, get holes in there, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's very strong flour. It's beautiful for pasta. We also do have the semolina and the sifted durum, which are like the best flours for pasta. We have those as well from one of our other farmers who grows them in Nebraska. He came to visit us the other day. And he's had a really good, oh my gosh, look at this mess. He had a really good harvest this year.
Yeah, was it a good year for grains?
It was a difficult year for grains really because we had a lot of grain. But they got it in and it's looking good. I mean, it's looking good. And there's lots of, but there are organic farmers that are growing. There's more and more around now. So I get calls almost weekly from farmers who are organic who want to know if they put in a crop, will we buy it? So it's a really big industry that's taking off.
Can you talk a little bit about COVID for your mill? We ended up bringing Janie's mill in during COVID because we had such a shortage of flour, but Janie's mill was, what, were you guys covered by BBC?
Yeah, there was a lot of interest because we have a really, really short supply chain because our supply chain is down the road. You know, that you don't have to get a ship to get our wheat in. It's actually American grown, and 90% of our grain is grown by the Wilkin family who own the mill. So we had a lot of wheat, we had a lot of flour, and we have the capacity to mill stone ground a lot of exceptional flour. And so when nobody could get any other flour, they found us online and we were like, literally had over 500 orders a day, whereas normally we'd have like 40.
Oh my God.
So it was,
What did you guys do?
it was a really big change. Ross, who's one of the bosses, and I reconfigured my whole retail units. Jill, who's our head miller, set up extra shifts of milling and slowly lost all her hair. We just worked. She didn't lose her hair.
Yeah.
We just worked at a mad pace and got all that flour out for all those people that didn't have it. And I'd have people calling, crying, literally crying, saying, I can't find eggs, I can't find milk, I can't find flour. And I'd go, I've got your flour.
Oh,
Yeah, and
that's so important.
yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's such a staple. And Janie's Mill works with a bunch of farmers that are interested in going organic, and you kind of do the transition for them.
So there is a flour called transitional flour. I mean, it's any grain, but when you start a field, you have to transition it across to organic because there's still chemicals in the field. And so Harold and Ross have a kind of a system of growing where they grow particular plants that will, as crops really, that will clean those fields up. Oats is his favorite. Harold says oats are magic for cleaning a field. Soy is another one that's really good at pulling out impurities in the soil and jamming all this other good stuff back in at the same time. So it's really quite fun. And there's a different, there's a different crop every year going across. So that's how it's held in the fourth year after 3 years. It's then organic, but Harold believes that a good, that fourth year is the penultimate year, and after that it really is.
So after the 5th year, you guys do an extra year.
Yeah. And we've got, I've got 400 acres that we're taking across, or my husband's mother has it, and I manage her land for her. And so that's all transitional at the moment.
Great.
But there's something very, very magic about baking from wheat that's grown in your own field.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a red hen at that point. So it's pretty incredible. All right, so I feel like I've got enough pasta.
Would this be good? Like, even if you didn't cut it, you could use it for lasagna.
Yeah, with lasagna, it is the egg pasta is lovely for lasagna. Make sure you get it really thin. Make sure you get it really thin for lasagna. We can have a little bit of bite when it comes to linguini and spaghetti. It doesn't matter if those are just a little Because this is not white flour. This is not stripped flour. This is stone ground. So it still has that germ and that bran. So it's always going to be a little bit darker. And it'll have that little bite, which is actually the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
What's the difference between stone ground and what would be the other?
The other one is roller milled, and they strip out the bran and strip out the germ. And then they're left with, you know, this, well, basically the starches and the sugars, and then they will put it back in after that process. If you want a whole grain or you want a whole wheat, then they'll blend that back in. Whereas with stone ground, the kernel comes into the mill, like 2,000 pounds of wheat grains go into the mill, go down between the stones, they're ground up by the stones, go through the sifters as fine or as, you know, the sifters come in different sizes as well, and Jill decides all of that. And then straight down into the bag, straight across to me, into a little bag, into a box, and out to you and onto your shelf, and people take it home. There's nothing else. There's no treatments, there's no additives, there's nothing put into that flour except for wheat, which is why we have to keep our bags in the fridge. Because it's real, it's organic, it's a whole food, and it's perishable because it's got the germ in it, which is very unusual in flour. And that's why the big guys don't like doing it, because it's never going to, they want it to sit on the shelf for a couple of years. Whereas we know that it's got 9 months, it's got 9 months from milling, so that's good. All right, so while have we all got how's your pasta doing?
How's the pasta?
We might just have a look at making, the only other thing we have to make is the dressing for the salad.
Wayne says thumbs up.
Okay.
How you doing, Taylor? Robert?
Can you turn
Yeah.
Right, so while we let the pasta now dry out a little, it can dry all the way, and then you can put it in the freezer, or but we just let it dry for a little while, 20 minutes or 10 minutes. That's fine. Yeah, as long as it stays nice. Okay. Now this, I think, will be done.
Check on your wheat berries.
Your wheat berries should be about done. See how they got nice and fat and absorbed all
So
that.
these are rye berries.
These are rye berries, so they're whole berries. So this is what I call embryo food. So it's the beginning of a plant. So it has everything that plant needs to grow. Yeah. So that's why it's so good for us and so good for our gut to eat a whole food like this. And this is why our whole kernel flours are good too, because they've got everything in it that our body needs to digest it. Can you all hear me all right? Mine are good. Are yours finished? If they're they're going to have a bit of bite, but they shouldn't be hard. So mine are done.
We got a half hour. I might have an extra one.
Okay, so strain your grains. I just put this over the sink. Be careful not to burn yourself.
Looks so good.
And those can just drain for us.
What kind of rye berries are those?
This is Daniello. They're soft now. Those are Daniello berries. Okay, so the next thing we're going to make is the avocado juice. And then we're done cooking. Well, until we cook the pasta. But we're done constructing stuff. And this one, if you gather all, you've got your yogurt and you've got your avocado. And I hope your avocado is soft. I think so. I was going to bring my immersion blender, but I forgot. The other thing you can use to make this is a mortar and pestle, but we're going to use a fork here. We're going to pretend we're in the outback and we've got nothing fancy. All right, so do not cut yourself.
So basically, you want the inside of the avocado.
Okay. Okay, now get your knife and cut into here in a grid. All right, so cut your little grid like that. Then I need a spoon. Mhm.
Like a smaller spoon or?
Yeah, just a teaspoon. I will cut this one for. So just cut that out. Don't cut yourself.
When do we boil pasta and for how long?
We're going to boil the pasta after it's dried for about 10 minutes. And we're going to boil it for about 3 or 4 minutes. All right, so scoop out your avocado. Just let your pasta sit to the side there now in its strings so it can dry out a bit. Okay. If you have an immersion blender, go ahead and use that in a minute. This one is just a tiny bit too hard. All right. Lemon juice. It's going to be really easy to squeeze out because you've already roasted them. So put a whole lemon in here.
They might have, I think most of you guys got one really big one.
Oh, so half a lemon.
Half a lemon.
All right, so we've got the yolk, we've got the avocado and the lemon juice.
I love how the pulp comes out with
Yeah, I know it's
the regular lemon.
yeah. And it's sweeter now too because of the heat.
Got a little salt and pepper, like a pinch.
Yeah, you know, I like salt, so you just put in what you want because I really like salt and I'm a bit of a pepper freak. I'm gonna get you to put in half of this yogurt first, and then we'll see how it goes. So just half of the yogurt. And now we're gonna mash it. Now's the time to use your immersion blender if you've got one. No, not yet. Here's a really bad trick. Don't do this with your mum's fork. Okay. That just makes it so much easier to mash. All right.
Good.
Yeah, it's really tasty. It's very simple. Everything I make is very simple because I have a very bad memory, so it has to be really easy. Any more than 3 ingredients that I cut.
You remembered how good it is, so that's, how did you learn how to make this one? You just put it together?
I think it's, I don't know, just always made it, yeah. No, I think it's, I mean, yogurt and avocado dressing is not unusual. It's just really, really tasty. But the roasted lemons, that's my addition. All right, so now your hands are not really as hard as mine. Can you take a little of that dill out there and just put a pinch in here?
So everybody's got a little dill. Add a pinch. I think I gave you guys a half teaspoon, but maybe Just do a pinch of dill. Oh yeah, we're good. That looks
Okay,
so bright and colorful.
Now, oh, you're gonna need to add a little bit of olive oil just to make it a little looser. This is an amazing dressing if you have a kale salad, because I am the person who loves kale. You know how they say who loves kale? That's me. And so if you cut your kale fine like spaghetti strips, and then get your avocado dressing and just mush it over the kale, that is the most perfect dressing.
Ooh.
Anyway, so we're just gonna add probably a teaspoon just to drizzle. Just to loosen it up a wee bit. Okay, and that's your dressing.
So
Now I'm gonna give that
bright
a
and
little
colorful.
taste.
How does it come in?
Mm. That is lemony. I'm going to put a little bit more oil in just to cut that lemon a wee bit. You just do what you need to do to make it taste like how you want it. If you think that is too tart, you can add a little honey. Not too much though. The sour is good. All right, put that into a bowl. And that goes on the side with your salad.
So great. Add more what if it's too tart?
You can add a little honey, but I have added a little bit more olive oil. Okay. Beautiful.
So pretty.
All right. So now we've got our tomato sauce. We've got our dressing. We're going to put. Now we can construct your salad. I've just Sarah told me that the people that process the the green leaves actually wash them 3 times. So there's no need for us to wash those again. So I've just put, you can just dump your leaves in there. You can make this after. I'm going to just do it. You can make it up yourself afterwards, okay? So I've got the leaves in there. Gosh, Sarah's got a lot of dishes to do that.
Oh no. Okay, that's the dishwasher.
I don't have dishes. All right, you get your vegetables. Don't know if we'll have time to do our chilies. We might be able to. So we're just going to literally sprinkle all these vegetables down into here.
So colorful.
Mhm. So this is the kind of salad that's really good for taking to work tomorrow. And then you need to cool down slightly more. I'm going to let these cool down another minute, but you're going to pick these up and just sprinkle them on the top. Okay, so we're going to pretend that's ready because we can make that after.
Beautiful. So make sure to add your wheat berries once they're cooled.
I'm just going to chop up the parsley. Okay, just chop it up fine. we're going to put the parsley on top of the pasta. So we're just going to get that ready.
Just the leaves, not the stems, or just the first.
Much as I hate you because the stems are very good. But we'll just do the leaves, just this.
Just more like a garnish.
It's also a really lovely hit of taste. Now, the good thing about parsley is that it's really good for your body because it's high in iron and it's also high in vitamin C. And for our bodies to take in iron, it needs vitamin C to be present, which means that parsley is a superfood. My grandma lived on parsley and scrambled eggs every morning. So we can just chop that up as small as you like it.
Once you plant it in your garden, it usually comes back.
Parsley, right here. It definitely does at home in New Zealand. Parsley likes a lot of water, so if you do plant parsley, my mum said always plant it by the outdoor tap. You call it a faucet. And then it gets watered all the time, like lots of water. All right, so I've got that nicely chopped up. Okay. Now, is your water boiling? Is the pasta water boiling? Ours is. So make sure your pasta water is boiling. While you catch up, I'm going to wash my pasta bowl, okay?
How's everybody doing?
All right, 1 minute.
John says, great, I have to put my pasta up so my dog doesn't get it. I know. Those curious pets will always
Be interested in these new recipes. Alex, how you guys doing? Dee, how's everything going? Lori?
Okay, ready?
Good. The chef hats are still on. Alex says, we're great, still rolling out.
Yeah. I can imagine you're rolling a lot. But he said, but everything else is ready.
Sounds good. Kayla, Robert, Bob and Elise, you doing good? Do you want me to turn on the water a little bit?
Yeah, you can do that. Okay. This is why I'm not a celebrity chef. What a mess. Okay. So you should have in front of you.
Ooh, Robin says pasta looks great. Fantastic. And the salad dressing tastes good. Fantastic.
And this is okay if it's cold because the pasta will actually heat it up. For your sauce. So you've got your salad, you've got your sauce, you've got your dressing, you've got parsley, we've got oil, and we've got pepper and salt.
Get your bowls out.
And we've got the bowls to put your pasta into when it's finished. And a little lemon. I'm not sure what this is for. You've probably used all your lemon now. I'm just going to have to eat it. Okay. Are you good? Okay, that's good because we're ready. Now, make sure your water is at a rolling boil with 2 big pinches of salt in it, right? Now, the trick with doing pasta is don't do too much at a time. Okay, just do 1 serving at a time. If you put too much in, the water doesn't get in between all those little bits and it will go globby.
Yeah.
The other thing is be ready because it's not going to take long. With handmade pasta, it's really not going to take more than 3 or 4 minutes. So we're going to drop it in there, just a handful.
And what kind of tool do you use to take it out?
I'm going to use, you can use either a spoon or either of these, yeah, or tongs. Just add this to this horrible mess. Okay.
What would you consider a serving? How many?
I don't know.
Yeah.
About 15 maybe. All right. So we'll put those in. When they start to rise, that means they're ready. See how they're starting to rise up? Woohoo! All right, we need a good 3 minutes. The other reason why we don't cook too much pasta at a time is if you put too much cold matter into that water, it's going to go off the boil and it takes too long to come back on.
Yeah.
And that's a menace. So
That's what I did wrong.
so it's boiling up and I didn't time it. So we'll give it 1 more minute. It is going to be al dente because A, it's homemade, B, it's made with stone ground flour, and C, it's somewhere I like it. So you don't want to boil it to death. All right, I have a beautiful. It's okay if there's still a bit of water left on your spaghetti because that actually contributes to the sauce. So it's easy. On with your tomato sauce. This ridiculous little spoon that I have here. And then your
That's so pretty.
Then
Let me
you-
get a close up. Oh yeah, hit right over here actually.
and a little bit of your parmesan.
So pretty.
Now that's just a small serving, just so you can see. I'll drop this one.
Look at this gorgeous pasta.
So you can cook your pasta when you're ready to eat. But just remember to just do it a serving at a time. That's one. Okay, how are you doing? Are you going to start boiling it yet, or you can do that after?
Thumbs up on Doyle's. He's boiling.
Okay.
Beautiful. Do you usually do like a dollop of the dressing on top? Or do you
Yeah, I
mix
put
it?
the dressing on the side before I serve the dressing.
Great.
I'd probably eat that with a spoon. All right, so that's your basic That's your basic pasta. That's an egg pasta. So you can use that one for ravioli, which is my favorite, as you know. For spaghetti, you can use it for lasagna. Anything that needs to have a nice sauce, a reasonable heavy sauce in there. We've got quite a light sauce today, but this one will take a meat sauce, which sometimes is a bit rough on pasta, but this is it's nice and strong. You should have a taste. Do you want to get a fork?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a few minutes now if you'd like to give us any questions. And we'll see whether it was working for you. This is really good.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that sauce.
Yeah, that sauce is bright. It's really bright.
So fresh.
If you're going to make this in a big bowl, you can put all your pasta into a bowl and then pour your sauce on top. And then the parsley. And just kind of go from there. And that's your basic pasta.
So
So now you can't see it. All right, do we have any questions?
So excited for you guys to try. Cecilia, you gotta try too.
Oh, I should get my gift.
Oh no. Any last questions before we wrap up? Oh, Joan had a question about what do you put in your ravioli?
At this time of year, butternut pumpkin, well, you call it squash, butternut squash, with burnt sage. Now, what I do is I heat up the butter and I throw sage leaves into the hot butter and they go all crispy. So it'll be like this, bang, straight in, almost immediately, straight back out onto a paper towel. And then I just, once you've constructed your butternut ravioli, you can just pour that butter on top and put the crispy sage on top of that. I'm being distracted.
The parsley has such a fresh flavor.
Parsley's important, and the lemon.
You guys tried any so far? Oh my gosh, yum. Okay, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining. We're so lucky you were here. We'll keep you posted. I will share the recording probably on Tuesday with you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone saying thank you. This was very fun. Thank you. Sounds yum. Thanks. This pasta is delicious. Yeah, we're so glad you're here. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is really fun. This is the first time we've ever done this, as you can see.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. All right, enjoy your dinner.
I'll send you little recipes that Cecilia has baked.
Test baked. And I'll send you a little links to Janie's mail tomorrow. And if you have any other questions, feel free to email us.
Go to the bread
Hey,
blog.
Sarah, do you know what the next cooking class is?
Yes, I'm gonna be teaching an Irish
Stew, like an Irish beef stew, and some of my my uncle's famous Irish bread, Irish soda bread. But we're gonna make them into scones. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, thanks so
Bye.
much. Take care.